Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322. So there's a lot of misinformation going around at the moment, the primary one of which is Rockstar removed all advanced handling flags. That is very much not the case. Now, there exist a great many different advanced handling flags on many cars, and Rockstar haven't removed any of them. All they've done is change the behaviour of one of them. The advanced handling flag that causes cars to be overly sensitive to bumps, like on the Toros or Tally GTO, is still there and unchanged, as is the flag that causes cars to over-rev and hang at the red line for ages before shifting up. And there's numerous other regular handling flags and advanced handling flags that are all unchanged and apply to many different cars. What Rockstar have done, however, is change the behaviour of the lower shift points advanced flag. This is what caused cars that had it to shift up the gears much earlier, therefore giving them worse acceleration and overall performance. It also stopped cars from being able to handbrake boost. The most notable cars that had this advanced flag were the tuners cars. They didn't originally have it, but after all the problems when they were introduced, with them hitting ridiculous top speeds after applying lowered stance and low grip tyres, Rockstar added the flag to them in order to slow them down. And it did the job. Tuners got nerfed and were slower in terms of lap time, while also losing the ability to handbrake boost, which obviously meant that they were way worse at drifting, and the uproar from the community about cars that were introduced to be able to drift now being worse at it was pretty severe. So in the Criminal Enterprises update, Rockstar decided to change the behaviour of that advanced flag in order to fix the tuners. They haven't removed it, as is the popular belief, they've simply changed the effectiveness of it. Although, frankly, I'm not sure why they didn't just remove it, given that low grip tyres no longer give any speed boosts when applied, and the flag itself is barely effective now at doing anything close to what it originally did. Either way, the tuners are now much closer to their performance from when they were first introduced, and can effectively handbrake boost again, although not to the level they could originally. They're not identical to how they were when they were released, instead being somewhere in between that state and the nerfed state, but at least they're a lot better to drive now. However, and I'm not sure whether Rockstar simply forgot about this or didn't understand what the consequences would be, the tuners aren't the only cars that have this lower shift points advanced flag. It's actually one of the first two advanced flags that were added to the game with cars from the Supersport Series DLC, the other being the gear shift over rev flag, and is partly responsible for the terrible performance and driving characteristics of most of the cars from around that time. I'm pretty sure they were experimenting with ways to combat curb boosting by artificially limiting the cars, but what we got were cars that accelerated terribly and very unnaturally, and were all just horrible to race with. Although still not as bad as the bouncier suspension advanced flag that would be introduced later. Thankfully, we don't see any of these flags added to cars these days, except obviously for the hotfix to the tuners, but they're still present on the cars that always had them. If you want the full story of the advanced handling flags, I'll link a playlist in the description which contains everything that you need and gives you the story so far. So, which cars also have this lower shift points flag? I'm going to put a full list on screen now, but some of the most notable cars include the Entity XXR, which was widely panned for performing and handling worse than the original Entity XF when it was released because of these flags, as well as cars like the Flash GT, Swinger, Taipan, and Jester Classic. All of these cars were mostly avoided, at least in the racing community, due to these advanced flags making them drive terribly. When racing with these cars, with no other changes other than having these advanced flags removed, like on 5M, some of them are stunningly good, specifically the Swinger, which I did a video on, which I'll also link in the description. They really would all just be better off removing all of these problematic flags, but I digress. So when Rockstar changed the behaviour of the flag that was applied to the tuner cars, that also meant that all other cars that have that flag had their behaviour changed too. So essentially all these cars now no longer shift up the gears way too early, and that's a good thing. It improves their acceleration, general performance and overall feel. The problem is that most of these cars still have the other problematic flag, the gear shift over rev flag, which, as I said earlier, means cars that have it will stay at the red line for a long time before shifting up a gear. When combined with the lower shift points flag, it wasn't too bad since the gears would shift up earlier anyway, but now that that has effectively been rendered useless, what we're left with is cars that, yes, accelerate better because they're not shifting too early, but also now sit at the red line and don't shift up for ages, giving really stupid and unnatural engine sounds and backfiring as the cars accelerate. They're still quicker than they were, but they're far from fixed. Again, it could just be that Rockstar were focusing on fixing the tuners and forgot that these other cars would be affected, but I still maintain, as I've done since these cars were introduced in 2018, that they just need to remove the damn flags from all of these cars. I can't even begin to describe how much better some of these cars are when the flags are removed, especially the Swinger. And while these cars will be nicer to drive now, they're still not great. If Rockstar are going to fiddle about with the flags to render them essentially useless, they might as well just completely do away with all of the problematic ones entirely. But how does all of this affect the performance of these cars? Well, basically they all accelerate a little bit better now to varying degrees depending on the cars. Top speeds haven't changed, but they get up to those top speeds quicker now. And for some of these cars where curb boosting used to actually slow them down, curb boosting now improves their speed like all other cars, if you can handle the annoying engine sounds. So essentially, while their normal top speeds haven't improved, their top speeds when in the city or when curb boosting will be much better, and naturally they'll all just be a little bit quicker from a lap time perspective, but not as quick as they could be with all of their advanced flags just straight removed. It will be different for every car, of course, in terms of how much each is improved. For the Hot Ring Sabre, for example, that's a car that only had the lower shift points flag and nothing else, meaning it's basically a better car now with no downsides, but it's not suddenly 3 seconds per lap quicker. It does give us a clear example though of exactly how the flag has been changed without any other flags getting in the way. Just listen to the engine note and the gear changes in these before and after clips as the car takes longer between shifts now. When it comes to doing proper retesting for these cars to get new lap times, obviously it's something that's on my to-do list, but I'm also a little bit torn. It's very possible the behaviour of these cars was unintended and simply caused by Rockstar fixing the tuners and not realising that these other cars would be affected as well. Or they might have known this would happen but forgot that these cars have the other flag which makes them sound stupid to drive. There's many situations where the performance changes of these cars are either unintended and will be reverted, or half intended and will be further fixed later. Usually we have to wait until the next DLC to know if any changes are going to stick around, although they do sometimes do hotfixes for more significant things like this. Either way, I don't think I'm going to rush into any retesting. None of the affected cars are suddenly going to become top of their classes. There's still much faster cars than all of them even after this change. But I'll use this video as a reference to point people to so that you know the cars here are at least a little quicker than what they are usually listed on my spreadsheet or on gtacars.net, at least for lap time. And then any official retesting for lap times will come when we're sure that the cars are in a state that they're going to stay. My focus for now will be on testing all the new cars, and I plan to go through some of the more popular classes to retest everything on expanded and enhanced anyway. Obviously, testing cars properly takes a lot of time, so I want to make sure that I'm not wasting time away by testing a bunch of things that are going to get changed again in a few weeks. Obviously, stay tuned to the channel and I'll keep you all updated on whether Rockstar make any further changes, and naturally you'll get all the info on testing of new cars and any retesting when I put out the testing videos. So make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff. Hopefully this video has helped clarify some things, so if it helped, make sure to give it a like and leave all your thoughts down below. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you next time.